Awesome. What's going on, everybody? Brooke Backpacker here. So last week we discussed the Superior Wilderness Designs long haul pack, and in that video I mentioned the fact that those packs don't come seam sealed and how I believe that that should not be a deal breaker for anyone because, as I'm about to show you, it is super easy to do yourself. All you need is your seam sealant for $7, and you need your pack, and you need a place to do it. That's it. So the first step to getting this whole thing done is to go out and pick up Seam Grip Plus WP. I actually spoke directly with the owners of Superior Wilderness Designs, and this was the product that they recommended for sealing up their packs. Now, there's a lot of different types of seam sealant out there. Some of them are for tents specifically, or sil nylon. This is the only one that you're going to want to use for this pack. One of the things I really like about it is that they provide two specialized applicators. One that's a little bit more broad to kind of hit wider areas, and then they have more of a fine tip brush to really help get into those tight geometries and like elbows in between the seams and the fabrics. So once you have your Seam Grip Plus WP, all you have to do then is turn your pack inside out. My suggestions for the order of how to do this is, well, first of all, empty the pack. And second of all, what you're going to need to do is roll the top down just to make access to the frame a little bit easier. Pull up the Velcro on the frame slot. It houses an aluminum stay. You're going to want to remove that. The most effective way that I have found to do this is to open the Velcro top for the aluminum stay and to push up from the bottom while holding it from the top. And by doing this, you will expose just enough of that frame to kind of grab onto it. Slides out very easily. There's not a lot of resistance, but there's enough for you to know that these frames aren't just going to pop out on their own. So once the frame is out, I would recommend loosening up any straps you have, any elastic webbing, side compression, anything like that, just to let the fabric be a little bit more loose and easy to work with, because it can be a bit tedious. Now, the next stage of this is going to be tricky to do properly, and the reason being that the X-Pack fabric it's a nice, strong, rigid fabric, and therefore it holds its shape. You're going to have to kind of maneuver the bottom up through the top, and the way that I found this to be the easiest is to roll down the top as much as possible and then just start pushing up from the bottom and essentially push the bottom up out through the opening and then flip it inside out. Once it's inside out, you'll notice that the bag is very loose, which is going to make it very difficult for us to do a seam sealing on it. So the next step that I would suggest is to find a pillow or blanket. What I do personally is I put a blanket in first because it tends to fill the empty space a little bit better. And it's important that on the bottom, because it does have a rectangular profile, it's important that you make sure that each of those corners is pushed out. So once you have the bag inside out and all the corners are no longer concave, I would recommend that you find a suitable location for this. So do be sure that your kids aren't around, any pets. Don't do this in a small enclosed room without any ventilation unless you're wearing a mask. I would certainly recommend opening up some windows, turning on some fans. Hang it if you can. This will also allow you to get 360 degrees around the pack. And the reason being that Seam Grip Plus WP does contain some harmful vapor that if you inhale it, it is not good for you. Let's just be honest. It's just important to make sure that you're in a well-ventilated room to ensure that this vapor is not inhaled by you or anyone else around you. All right, so once your pack is inside out, there's going to be two regions you're going to want to focus on when it comes time to start seam sealing. First of all is going to be the bottom. The reason being that when you set your pack down, there's a good chance the ground is wet. And for me personally, I keep my quilt in the bottom. So I'm going to be very sure that I'm getting seam sealant everywhere that it needs to be, where the thread has punctured the fabric and between where the fabric is joined. The second region will be the shoulder area. Anyone who has been hiking in the rain knows that your rain jacket tends to wet out here on the shoulders first. And so this will be more than likely where water will find an ingress. And so I think it's important that you go ahead and apply a nice, generous layer to this region here. So we have our pack inside out. We've got our seam grip. Let's do this. it's all done. The pack is all seam sealed. The only thing left to do now is to turn it right side out. All right, and that was so cheesy. We are all done. It was that easy, guys. $7 and less than an hour, and I have a fully seam sealed pack. Do not let the fact that these packs aren't seam sealed stand in your way. It is way too easy to get this done yourself. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.